Hello and good morning to you all. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a report that was published September of last year, 2022, by an organisation whose job is, among other things, is to help professionals make the best decisions for children, young people, and support communities to help prevent abuse from happening in the first place. That organisation is called the Nspcc. For those of you who are outside of the UK and have not heard of this institution, it means the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. The report they're talking about is Unseen Men Learning from Serious Case Reviews, and it's in the Nspcc Learning Library. It's a fascinating place to go, and there's some very interesting case reviews that they've got in there about not just about this sort of thing, which I'll come to, but they've got some interesting articles about female abusers and female perpetrators of child sexual abuse. I will come back to that in a minute. But this report from the Nspcc, although its reason for their report is sort of an analysis of the government report, which is called Unseen Men Learning from Serious Case Reviews. This is actually trying to counterbalance that, because where the government report looks at serious case reviews where men, fathers have abused and harmed and even murdered their children, people like Stephen Barker and his brother Jason Owen. That's the stepfather and brother of baby P. This one is quite different. In this report, the Nspcc is actually singing the praises of fathers and criticising the way that professionals sideline fathers and treat fathers and other male figures in a child's life. The overriding theme of this report, which, by the way, doesn't seem to have a named author, is that men, fathers, can play a vital role in the child's development. Now, my impression of this report is that they're talking about fathers, but they're talking about other males in a child's circle, such as grandfathers, uncles, older brothers, family friends, male family friends. And these people are all very, very important to the development of a child. One of the areas in which the Nspcc is critical of the professionals is that when there are concerns about a child, it's clear that the Nspcc has noticed that fathers tend to avoid personal meetings with the professionals because they feel there's a feeling that they will not be believed or listened to. It's been noted by the Nspcc that when it comes to any kind of reports on a child, any concerns about a child, professionals will brief the mothers, not the fathers. Now, by professionals, I get the feeling that they're talking about institutions like social services, police, courts, CAFCAS, safeguarding officers at schools. These are what they mean by professionals. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that they're not talking about a TV show from the early 1980s. Anyway, the bottom line of this report is that there is criticism of professionals for not engaging with fathers. There's criticism of the fact that when there are safeguarding concerns, they listen intently to the mother and take the mother at face value, the women at face value, but they don't extend the same courtesy to men, especially when a man is reporting his concerns about, for example, about the mother. The other area of criticism is that fathers and other males in a child's circle don't seem to come up on the radar unless they're being viewed as potential abusers. Again, the Nspcc is critical of the professionals for a lack of engagement with fathers. Now, some time ago, and there's been a fair number of videos I've done in which I've talked about Section 47 inquiries. That's inquiries into the safeguarding of children, where there might be concerns about domestic abuse. And one of the requirements of a Section 47 investigation is that professionals like social workers, and this is in their regulations, are required to take an holistic approach to evidence gathering. Now, holistic means they look for the big picture. They talk to everyone in a child circle. That's what they're supposed to do. But this report from the Nspcc suggests that this gives further weight to the fact that organisations like social services don't do this. There's also been noted that there is a failure to listen to fathers' needs when they ask for help. There's a failure to respond to fathers who might be needing help understanding something. For example, if they've got a special needs child and the father needs help understanding what those needs might be and how best to meet them. There is criticism of the professionals that when a father does ask for help for something like this, or even if he's dealing with something like substance abuse and he's asking for help, the fact of him asking for help with something like this is grounds for criticism on the behalf of the professionals, and the Nspcc is saying that this is wrong. So what does this tell us? My suspicion is that if you were to read this report to someone like Nicole Jacobs, the Domestic Abuse Commissioner, if you were to read this out to a representative of End Violence Against Women International or Women's Aid, and if this report was singing the praises of mothers or talking about mothers in the same way, they would say this was the gold standard of Nspcc reports. But I suspect that the fact that the Nspcc are praising fathers and saying that children need a good, loving father in their lives as crucial to their development, their mental and physical health, their well-being, their future lives. The fact that the Nspcc are praising fathers, I suspect, would be a cue for people and individuals and institutions like Nicole Jacobs, like Ava Santina, to condemn this as pseudoscience. To me, this suggests, it's further proof that when it comes to matters like domestic abuse, the organisations that are very pro-women, like Women's Aid, like the Domestic Abuse Commissioner's Office, they tend to look on men's rights, men's needs, men's health, male victims of domestic abuse, false allegations against men as being either very rare, non-existent, negligible. Now, nobody's saying that women and girls should not be protected, because that's always the thrust, isn't it? End violence against women and girls. Nobody's saying that women and girls shouldn't be protected. What we, as men's groups, are saying is that, yes, we acknowledge that women, mothers, girls are victims of domestic abuse. We're not denying that for a second. But organisations like Dads Matter, Falsely Accused, the Feminist Bunny, we're all saying, yes, women can be victims, but so are men. And what we're saying is that the level of protection afforded to women and girls should be the same that is afforded to men and boys. The gender and orientation of the victim, the gender and orientation of the abuser, should not change the level of protection offered to anyone. Thank you and good night.